Hello. I think yeah, morning everyone. I think we'll just get started. I think because of the rain, people might still be coming, so we'll get it started anyway. So yeah, thank you for being here. So I'll just briefly talk about FINYE for the new faces. So FINYE stands for Federation of International Nepalese Youth Entrepreneurs. So we are a not-for-profit organization, and our mission is to foster youth entrepreneurship, uh, especially in Hong Kong for Nepalese community. Uh, and the Coffee Talk itself is a monthly event that we organize every last Sunday of every month, where we invite experts from various fields to share their insights. And on today's Coffee Talk, we have the topic itself is Web3, DeFi, and AI, understanding the depths about it. And for that, we have Jay with us, who is an investor relation head at Food Capital. And I think Jay is the solid guy who's been in Web3 space uh, for over a decade, I believe. And I think Jay has really insightful stuff to share with us at this coffee talk. And I think let's make it really personable because we are like very yeah, like a few crowd today. So yeah, like over to you, Jay.
Thank you, sure. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning, and thanks so much for joining us today on the Coffee Talk. And a special thank you to FINYE, Suresh, and the team for arranging this and giving me this opportunity. And also a big thank you to the Basmati team for giving us this beautiful venue. So let's get started, all right? Anywhere during the slide, you can pause me and feel free to engage with me if you have any questions, right? So, but at the end, we will also have a Q&A session, so where we can discuss as well. So today's topic is going to be about Web3, DeFi, and AI and the potential trends that we are going to be looking into today. You might be asking, Jay, why did you take all that is trending on Twitter or X.com and put it in the title? Because that is actually what's happening. What's going to be a huge paradigm shift in the space of DeFi. And all of this have to do with Web3, DeFi, and AI. So we're going to be introducing some of the elements over here. Let me introduce myself and give a quick background about myself as well. So my name is Jay Ansari, and Jay for short. Jay is the name that Hong Kong gave me for most of the time I was working because Jahangir is a very hard name to pronounce. And I'm a student of business. I did my undergraduate in Chennai, and I did in University of Madras. I studied business in marketing as a major. And recently, I just finished my MBA in AI as well, artificial intelligence, and I studied more about how businesses can use AI for leveraging as a leverage to make their businesses more successful. And currently, I'm an investor relations manager at FU Capital. FU Capital is an RWA or real world assets company that is tokenizing real world assets like consumer and corporate loans. So I'm not going to go deep into RWAs today, but I'll give you an overview of the Web3 space. And I have a startup background. I did mostly global marketing, and I did marketing for Web3, DeFi, and fintech space mostly. I wanted to give you a quick background story and also explaining how the space has been evolving so far in the past 10 years. And I want to start with Digital Fortress. Does anyone know this book called Digital Fortress, Dan Brown's? You might know Dan Brown from a very famous novel in fiction space. And this is one of his first novels, and it's around security, digitization, and digital identity. And that's when I started to read about cryptography. So that's how I got introduced into blockchain, cryptography, and it has a lot of elements that blockchain and Bitcoin has as well. And that's how I started studying Bitcoin. And in 2014, that's when we had our first Bitcoin ATM in Hong Kong. Before that, I know about Bitcoin already, but there was no option for Hong Kongers to buy Bitcoin physically at over the counter. But you were able to download Bitcoin for free in Bitcoin faucets online as well. And it was in 2014 that I actually bought physically with transacted with Hong Kong dollars. And the next year, very next year, I was in Japan. So does anyone like traveling here? Okay, everybody likes traveling, right? So I was in Japan and I was in Shinjuku, heart of Tokyo, and I was walking after having dinner and I was going back to the hotel. And I clearly remember there was a really good guy dressed in full tuxedo came to me and asked, do you want to watch a robot show? I was like, robot show in Tokyo? Of course I'm going to watch robot show in Tokyo. So I said yes, and I went in and he was giving me a brochure. And in this brochure, there was a lot of payment options starting from Visa, MasterCard, all your regular payment options. But at the end, there was a bee, an orange colored bee, which I immediately recognized it was Bitcoin. So I asked him like, oh, are you accepting Bitcoin as a payment? And he said yes. And I immediately took out my wallet, sent a Bitcoin. It took like 2 or 3 minutes, but the transaction was over. And that was my first real world transaction. So at that time, people were vouching for the narrative was that Bitcoin would become a currency that you would transact with each other. So, but that didn't pan out too well because a lot of things changed and Bitcoin became more of an asset, like a store of value asset. And then in 2017, there was the Bitcoin bull run. So in 2017, I was working at an exchange called ANX. You might know them as OSL. They are OSL right now. They are an OTC traded, only for professional investors right now. They are the only licensed company in Hong Kong as well. And, at that time, it was super crazy period. Bitcoin went from $1,000 to $20,000. It was like 20x in over a few days. It's crazy. And that's when Bitcoin went mainstream. Like people started noticing. All the financial industry, Wall Street people, banking, everybody started noticing. And maybe we made a little bit of a noise. And that also led to, like, from 2014 to 18 was the biggest year in Hong Kong. All the big companies like FTX, it's not a very good company, but they all started here, right? And all of the innovations were happening in heart of Hong Kong. You know Tether, right? USDT. It's all started in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong was like the crucible of crypto space. So we did all the work here, and then it blew up and it expanded everywhere. And maybe we made a lot of noise that the crypto cops came in and they had to shut us down, and regulation started in 2018. And you all know what happened. Crypto trading was not available for public. It was mentioned as it wasn't a legal tender in Hong Kong anymore. And we are still waiting. This is 2024, and we are still waiting for regulations to kick in. We still haven't figured out the infrastructure yet. There are over 11 crypto exchanges that are waiting to get licensed in Hong Kong, but it's incredibly expensive and not feasible yet. But I think in 2 or 3 years, we'll have a better situation in Hong Kong. So the future of entrepreneurship and innovation lies in technology, creativity, and social impact. So I wanted to give an idea, because all of you guys are entrepreneurs and students here. So I wanted to see like how you can explore this space as an entrepreneur as well. So I want you to remember these three items: technology, creativity, as well as social impact. For example, I can give an example of Jeff Bezos, right? He saw e-commerce as a technology. He used his creativity to sell books that were sold offline, and he took it online with his creative skills. And then he created a social impact. So now he has an empire, a whole empire of Amazon, just because he used all of these three items. Never bet against innovation. This is also a very key topic that you have to remember as a entrepreneur to be successful. Because, for example, I can give you a few examples in the past regarding how you should never bet against innovation. And the first one I wanted to share is Apple's iPhone. So when Apple iPhone was introduced by Steve Jobs, it had a touchscreen. It didn't have any keyboards. And at that time, the former CEO of Microsoft, he was openly joking about like a $500 phone without a keyboard is never going to go into a business market. He bet against innovation, but he didn't know how big this touchscreen is going to evolve into. And you can look around now that we can't find any physical keyboards anymore. It's all touchscreens now. So innovation plays a very big role in any business entrepreneurship as well. And another example I wanted to give was about how telecom companies evolved as well. So telecom companies, they were mostly selling time as a talk time. And then internet evolution came. And all the VoIP companies were saying that internet, like WhatsApp, was giving calls to overseas for free as well. So all the models changed from selling talk time to selling data. So right now, if you go and purchase any plans, mobile data is the key selling item. And a lot of companies that didn't focus on internet and mobile data did not succeed. And only the companies that were focusing on internet data, they became the leaders of that industry. And the last one I wanted to share is also Microsoft. So when Microsoft said that we will be streaming broadcasts like baseball games on internet, everybody laughed. Like a lot of people were questioning that. But after that, you can see we're streaming everything from media to movies. Netflix is a huge market right now. So never bet against innovation. And that's why I'm saying like Web3, AI, and DeFi are the next innovations. So you want, as an entrepreneur, you want to have to keep a real close eye on what's going on in this space. And first principle thinking. So I wanted to touch on this before going into Web3, DeFi, and AI, because it is very important as an entrepreneur to have a first principle thinking. It's not a new idea. It's a very old idea. A lot of people from philosophers, engineers, as well as a lot of business owners, they use first principle thinking. Some of the examples are Aristotle. He's one of the early philosophers. Even Elon Musk right now, he used first principle thinking in his business to be very successful. So what is first principle thinking? In first principle thinking, you use critical thinking to address a problem, and then you form a foundational principle. So you're creating a subset of a subset of a subset, and to identify the create core ideas in a problem. For this, to explain it simply, I'm going to give you a very small analogy, an analogy of an apple tree. So if you see an apple tree, or if I see an apple tree, what I would think is, okay, that's an apple tree. I can go grab the apple and eat it. It tastes good. And I won't give a thought about how the apple is formed or anything like that. It's just a apple tree for me. But a first principle thinker like Elon Musk, if he sees an apple tree, he dissects the whole tree. He sees the leaves are creating photosynthesis for the plant. the branch and the roots are gathering the nutrients, and then the fruit is formed, which can be used, and he will dissect each of those elements and say like, okay, I can sell the fruit, maybe the trunk can be used in carpentry, etc. So he will use all of this. An example, a real world example that he has done is Tesla and SpaceX are all built on this formula, are all vertically integrated. If you see Tesla, it's a electrical storage company. It's an AI company as well as an automotive company. It's not just an automotive company. And if you see Cybertruck, it just came to Hong Kong recently as well. You can see in the showroom in Wan Chai. So there is a relation between Cybertruck and SpaceX. So the outer body of the Starship, SpaceX Starship, as well as Cybertruck is made of stainless steel. So he's kind of using principle of first principle thinking to dissect all the materials, and he's using it vertically across all of his companies. So I wanted to get into Web3. So Web3 is the next evolution of internet. So Web3 is representing the paradigm shift of centralized system into decentralization. So they're going to take everything that is centralized and creating a decentralized system where you don't need a intermediary. So Web3 is built on blockchain technology, as you might have known already. Blockchain is basically just a database of ledger that is built on public, and you can see it, everyone can access it publicly. It creates trust, transparent system, as well as it can be helped to create like ownership over any digital asset. And unlike Web 2, maybe I can go back to Web 1 and 2. Like if you see, it's a natural evolution of Web 1 and 2. So Web 1 is where when we read, it's only read only. And Web 2 is what we have currently. It's already at the peak right now where we can read and write, meaning we can read articles, we can write posts on social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are posting as well. So it's read and write. But Web 3.0 is about read, write, and ownership. So you're going to read, write, as well as own your own data. So that's going to help you like create a digital ownership, which we didn't had in the past. Before, we relied on companies like Facebook to own our own and host our data. But with Web3 technology, we don't need that anymore. So that's why it's going to be a huge change in how the internet's going to be working. DeFi, or decentralized finance. This is going to revolutionize traditional finance. So when it comes to DeFi, people always associate it with it's a competitor to banking or something like that. But if you talk to the academics and people who are working behind these DeFi products, that's not the case at all. It's more on a deeper level. It's about the technology behind all these finance transactions, how they are happening. So the banking system that we have right now, it's decades old. We haven't changed how banks do transactions behind. With DeFi, we're going to be using blockchain to do the underlying transactions. So like, for example, Bitcoin has been online for 14 plus years now, and it's been in the public blockchain. All hackers around the world has tried it, tested it, brute forced it, and it has proven itself as a very reliable source of digital asset. So it has been tested already, and now we're moving to the next stage. It's no more a prototype anymore. It's proven already. And the next stage is where we hyper-tokenization of all digital assets. So what's going to happen is everything that has a value in real world can be digitized, tokenized, and then added to decentralized ecosystem. When I say everything, it means like assets like real estate. There's also hard machinery, construction, everything can be digitized. And you can see like DeFi market was around 22 billion in value at 2022, but it's projected to be worth around 48 billion by 2020, 31. And the annual growth rate is around 9.6%, 9.06%, which is like huge when you compare to like GDP of China. For example, China's GDP of compound GDP over 10 years is only 8%. So you can see how big this is per year. It's growing every year. So artificial intelligence, the rise of simulated intelligence. So for this, I want to give you an analogy that Andrew Ng gave. Andrew Ng is the co-founder of Google Mind. So he gave an analogy like he compared AI to how literature grew. If you go back a few hundred years ago, only priests and monks, they knew how to read the holy books, and they would pass it along to a society. So they would preach everyone on how the past knowledge is gathered, and then they pass it to the community. But slowly they realized that if everyone can read and understand, it would be much more beneficial for the society. So currently, AI is in the hands of priests and priestesses like Facebook, Microsoft, IBM. These guys have been using AI for over a decade now. They have all the information. ChatGPT is nothing new for them, but only now it is possible for commoners like us to use AI, use the power of machine learning to reap the benefits of AI already. So this is going to change everything, because now for the next 10 years, the society is going to have AI tools readily available, completely free. There will be kids growing up with AI that's going to be helping them track their whole life, their education system, the financial system. You can use AI for everything that has data. And AIs are really good at identifying patterns and data. So it's going to be super useful for any kind of forecasting, any kind of recommendation optimization. So it's going to be very helpful in finance as well. And people are already thinking about using AI as agents, right? Right now, if you see ChatGPT, it's an agent. It's one agent. So people are going to be building a lot of different agents. There will be an agent for text to image generation, text to video generation. And all these AI has to work together to form something called AGI. So AGI is the next evolution from AI. AGI stands for Artificial General Intelligence, which has an intelligence of an average 20-year-old or an average human. So after that, there is also ASI, and I won't go too deep into that, but you will be seeing multiple agents right now taking care of your education system, health, as well as monetary policies, etc. And you might know Sam Altman. He's the CEO of OpenAI, ChatGPT's OpenAI. He also mentioned that it would be possible for one-person company to achieve billion-dollar status, because it's not very easy. Right now, maybe a 10-person company can achieve that already within the AI space. But soon, just one person can create these billion-dollar companies, because AI will manage most of their work. So far, is there any questions? So I just covered like AI, DeFi, we know what's Web3, right? Now, this is where the interesting parts come through, because we're in a time where all these three industries are coming together, they are colliding, and they're having a roll-on effect on various industries, as well as they are having a symbiosis relationship. When I say various industries, is because when I tried to see how many industries these AI, DeFi, and Web3 is going to affect, there's just way too many, from entertainment, gaming, even construction, agriculture, you name it, all the industries are going to be affected by this because it has a huge use case. And when I mention symbiosis relationship, it's because there's something called ASI as well, right? I mentioned AGI. The ASI is going to be the next stage, which is the artificial super intelligence, which is much more capable of what is happening right now. It's when AIs achieve an intelligence that is beyond what we have, what human can understand. So for that to happen, AI should have control over, not control, but access to global economy. And for that, we need to have an infrastructure, which is the DeFi infrastructure, Web3 infrastructure, because AI needs tokenization to access to all of these. So anything that is related to ASI, that's why I said you have to use your first principle thinking. So if you use first principle thinking and work your way, reverse engineer from the ASI, you'll see everything that is leading to ASI is going to grow for the next 10 years. And AI and blockchain powered DeFi jointly is at a value of 358 million from 2021. And it's expected to grow to 2.5 billion by 2031. That's a huge capital annual growth rate of 25%. It's insane. And I think this is going to be increasing year over year until we have something like an ASI system that is available. Together, they form a base ecosystem that is super powerful, transparent, trustless. Trustless meaning you don't need a third party to do any transaction. You don't need someone to govern. If you have a real estate you want to sell, you can sell all over the globe without having a third party to have a brokerage or anything like that. And it's also going to increase the intelligence section also. And I wanted to cover something on potential trends for students. I mentioned that FINYE also covers some students as well. So I wanted to touch on that as well and see what they can expect in the next 5-10 years. And one is personalized learning. So there's going to be a lot of data shared in decentralized ecosystem, and all these educational systems that are built on top of DeFi will have access to these data, and all the education programs, courses will be highly personalized towards that particular candidate. There won't be like a school system where there are 30 kids and everyone is learning the same thing. But with use of decentralized platforms, each individual student will have access to different kind of education system. And research. For research, I think people are starting to use ChatGPT for research as well, but you might have heard ChatGPT gives a lot of false information because it's just searching the internet completely and giving you its own results. But this can be solved. It's not going to take too long. It's going to be solved maybe this year, even end of this year. You'll see LLMs that you can create very specifically for whatever you're studying, whatever industry you're in. They can start using LLMs for research. For example, you can tell ChatGPT to only research content from Google Scholar. So Google Scholar is something we all use, even if you are a student in university, if you're doing theses, you use Google Scholar. And these are all going to be used by LLMs. And credentialing and accreditation is going to be a huge part of blockchain and Web3, because since blockchain is transparent and immutable, you can create certificates. All these university certificates that we have now is just paper, right? If you want to verify if I did my MBA, you have to use some numbers, student numbers, and verify with the university. But with the use of blockchain, you can actually connect yourself directly to the university. You don't need any intermediary in between to tell you that, okay, this guy studied in this university, because it's directly linked to the university by the blockchain, and it's completely transparent, so anyone can verify it. And that's going to happen to all courses, everything, even if it is like a tournament, medals, everything can be done in blockchain. In terms of potential trends for business owners, so you guys are all entrepreneurs, so you're probably excited to use DeFi and AI in this space, right? The main thing that I see that all business users can already use right now is demand forecasting. For example, let's take this restaurant, for example, right? If I had all the sales data, like from Monday to Sunday, and for maybe 5 years, I can already see on which day which item is selling and at what time people are buying a certain product. Maybe we can compare between two different dishes and see when is the right time. And depending on that, AIs can give you a forecast of, okay, it's Monday night, people might want this item. So at the start of the day, it could recommend that this particular item might be in high demand, and they can prepare it already. So that's an example. And you can apply that to every industry. Like you might have trade shows. So if you're going to a trade show, if you have like 5 years worth of data, it will already say, okay, based on previous data, I think this item or this product is going to be selling well. So you can stock up on that. Risk management is a huge sector in finance. It includes insurance. Everything comes under risk management. And you can personalize it. But right now, if you want to have risk management, you have to go to a private financial advisor, which costs you a lot of money. But with AI and DeFi, you will be able to have your own financial advisor that's going to advise you on how to optimize your portfolio. If you have a risk ratio, depending on your risk, it will adjust your portfolio and give you an optimized solution. And decentralized autonomous organization, DAO. This one is a very special one for me because I've been researching on that for a very long time, and that was my master's thesis as well. So I studied on decentralized autonomous organizations and how AIs are going to help to run these organizations. So in the future, big corporates will be a DAOs. At least that's what I think. And there could be multiple owners of a company, and it will be all run autonomously. And all of these owners can have a say. There can be a voting power that they can vote on in terms of decision making. So it's going to make decision making very easy and to manage. So it's going to be a very big important sector as well. So that's the end of the slide for me and the presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I worked with Suresh and FINYE team to help you guys get an NFT. So we're going to give you an NFT. You can scan this QR code and it will take you to a form. If you have a wallet already, you can share it. But if you don't, there is a link in that form where you can create your own wallet and you can submit the form whenever you want. We'll email you the link as well. And this NFT is going to be on the blockchain. So when you go to FINYE events all around the globe, you will be recognized that you were here, and there will be perks added as well. Perks could be anything from exclusive benefits, discounts, etc. So the team at FINYE will be working on that in the future. And that's it. Thank you so much for coming today and listening to this presentation. So if you want to connect, you can scan this code and you can get my contact details. I'm in the DeFi space mostly, so I'm very well connected to all the big projects at the moment, all the AI as well as DeFi projects at the moment, as well as I'm currently working on an RWA project, which is real world assets. So we are tokenizing consumer and corporate loans. And if you want to talk about it, and if you need any projects recommendations for investments, etc., you can always come to me and we can chat.
So
Thank you so much.
ERC20 also? Only ERC20? You are accepting only ERC20?
Yes, we are starting with ERC20, and we are working on Polygon chain as well as Ethereum at the beginning, but it's going to be a multi-chain. So we'll slowly expand to Solana in talks with Ton and a lot of new chains as well. But we'll have more details on version 2 next year. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
So how do you think the companies like Facebook are going to be working in future if the data is with me? They cannot find the data.
Exactly. That's the whole point. Like, soon they are forced to give us the data back right now because of this innovation. Before, there was no chance that the user can own the data, but it's going to flip the whole ecosystem right now. So Facebook will be forced to give you permission. I mean, you will be able to give Facebook permission if they can use your data for advertisements, but they have to pay you. So you can monetize your own data now instead of Facebook using all your data without your permission. Yeah.
How is this going to affect like marketing in terms of running?
Marketing is going to be very interesting. That's a very good question because right now, it's mostly cookie based, right? So when you visit a website, there's a cookie on your laptop and we know that, okay, you are visiting this website. So I can target you ads through Facebook or Google advertisement, right? But with transparent blockchain technology, I don't have to know who you are. I won't know who you are, but I know you are visiting these kind of websites. So if you're interested in financial sector, I would know exactly who is visiting the financial sector website and I can target ads through blockchain. There are decentralized ad networks coming up already and all these big platforms, even Google is already starting to lose revenue in ad space right now. So they are already working on the next evolution of ads, which is going to be like blockchain based. And blockchain based advertisement is going to be more transparent. It's going to be more helpful, very accurate as well. And the key thing is it won't give away your privacy. So as a marketer or an advertiser, I won't know who you are personally, but I can always send you ads because based on your user behavior.
How is going to like this growing ecosystem of social media going to change all this information?
Yeah, social media is getting interesting as well because right until now, everything is centralized, right? There's a centralized server. Let's take Instagram, for example. They have all the server. You upload your product, your content into their servers, and then they are monetizing it mostly without having to share any of the revenue with you at the moment. But that's going to change. So with blockchain data, you will own your content and you will allow Instagram to use. And if they want to use your data for advertisement or maybe AI and ML research, they might use it, but they're currently using it. Facebook is using all of your images on Instagram to train their AI models, right? But soon they will be forced to change to blockchain system because there will be a lot of other new platforms coming up. There's already several, I don't want to give away the name, but there are already blockchain based social media that is on works already. Yeah. Quick shot. Yeah, you can, but the data, for example, if I create something on a blockchain and I have EXIF data, there will be background data is connected to the art itself. And you might have seen this with NFTs. What gives the value behind Bored Ape, right? Like Bored Ape Club, you might have heard, like they have changed the scape of art in terms of how to use blockchain, right? So every time you check a Bored Ape art club, Bored Ape yacht club's artwork, it directly leads to the artist. It has all the information there. Even if I screenshotted it and if I create it, I can't link it back to the creator. So it will be completely off. It will be very easy to identify it as a fake.
Why is the government putting so many restrictions on the blockchain and all? Even in Hong Kong, it's not so open.
Exactly. Because as much as we want innovation, there's also need to be some kind of control, and regulation is very important. Regulation and compliance is very important, right? So in order for regulation and compliance to catch up with innovation, then there's a lot of work to be done. A lot of traditional finance guys, they don't want to change. Nobody likes change. And this technology is suddenly popping up and forcing everyone to change their systems. It's very expensive infrastructure. And Hong Kong can actually create like 10 times better infrastructure than what Bitcoin has. Like even HSBC, they have really good blockchain experts. They can build their own blockchain that is 100 times better than Bitcoin, but it's very expensive, and there's no guarantee people will adopt it, right? We don't want to adopt something a bank creates. So Bitcoin is famous because nobody is behind it. There is no company, there is no famous people behind it, and it's completely transparent, and it's for the public. That's why I think with regulation coming on and having the infrastructure catching up to the innovation, it will solve a lot of problems in the regulation legal system. And once we have that, there will be a huge explosion as well. There will be a huge explosion in innovation as well, and innovation will start continuing from there. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I see. That's true. Like everybody knows that there's going to be jobs going to be lost, and that's why I shared that slide earlier, which means never bet against innovation. So I advise a lot of people, youngsters who are studying right now, to never bet against AI. So if there is something AI can do already, for example, AI can write blogs, right? But people are arguing, oh, it cannot outrun. I mean, how can it be better than my work because I have 50 years of experience? But innovation doesn't care who is an expert or anything. AI is going to keep on growing. It's going to be better than anyone. You can't distinguish between a 10-year experienced writer versus just an AI that is creating articles, right? There won't be any distinction. And this happens with artists also. So there's a ton of creative artists that are arguing that AI art is not art, but human-made art is much more valuable, right? But you can't contest it with AI. AI is going to be much more superior. It's going to give you a lot more emotional depth. It will understand human empathy, etc. Everything. It can do much better. So why do you want to compete with it? Instead, what these artists and writers are doing they are using AI themselves. So they're going to be adopting with the technology, using it, and then creating a new kind of value system. So it will be even if old jobs are getting replaced, it's getting replaced by new jobs. So an artist before might be a painter who might not be a physical painter, but he would be a digital creator, which is using AI to create much complex arts in the future. Yes.
There's lots of like currently there's lots of like, negative press around blockchain.
Yeah.
With like a lot of those established exchanges.
That's true.
CEOs.
Yeah.
In the prison.
Yeah.
How, and you being in that space, how do you navigate all these negative press releases and like negative, just negative image?
I understand.
From, like general people who have never heard of like
I understand.
nitty-gritty of the industry.
I think this is a natural process of any technology, right? If you take startups, do you know how many startups fail? Out of 10, I think 7 startups fail. That doesn't mean all startups are scams, right? It takes a lot of testing, trial, hard booting, and making sure that people are accepting as well. So there's a lot of trial and error in the process. And I think blockchain is in the same space. We are testing a lot. There is an innovation and people always take advantage of some kind of loophole there is. For example, I don't want to point some examples, but you know, like you might have heard, like there are reasons why people are in prison. So those will be solved slowly. So these will always come, these problems and these loopholes will always exist. But I think regulation and legal system will always catch up. And one big thing about blockchain is that it is too transparent that you cannot get away with whatever mistakes you do. You can never cover it up. For example, people give bad rep for Bitcoin being a currency used for a lot of illegal substances, etc. But every transaction that was done with Bitcoin that was illegal, people always go to prison because it's trackable. You can't run away from a public ledger. It's all connected. It will always lead you back. No matter how clever you are, it will always be visible because blockchain forensics is so advanced level right now. You can never get away with anything wrong doing, and the public will come together and self-regulate itself. So that's the idea of blockchain. If all these people used like fiat currencies instead of blockchain or Bitcoin for transaction, they would have gotten away. Like nobody would have been able to track after even Silk Road. They tracked them after so many years and they got all the money back. But if they did it in fiat currency, they would have all gone away without consequences. Traditional and DeFi. So the main difference is the underlying technology, right? So in traditional system, like I think it's called, I don't want to name the system, but all the banks use similar system for internal bank transfers. And this has been done for so many decades now. And it's the reason why when you send a overseas remittance or overseas transfers, it would take up to 3 days for them to credit you. If there's a Sunday or a public holiday, you might not receive it. It's because there is a lot of manual input in between. And I think blockchain addresses that. Blockchain takes care of everything. And with Ethereum, blockchains like Ethereum, there is smart contracts built within. It can automate a lot of stuff, and you can transfer money instantaneously as well as effectively, cost effectively. So that's the main difference between DeFi and TradFi. Yes, exactly. But the traditional, my guess is that the traditional financial system will adopt DeFi. Everything that DeFi is doing right now, they are going to adopt it. Because let's say if HSBC wants to improve their internal system, right? They have millions of customers. They can't just change their app in a second and test it out. What they would do instead is they would create a startup company. They will build the system in a smaller environment. They will test it out, a money app with 500 people maybe, and then they will scale it to 1,000. And then they will keep repeating the process until all of the problems are solved. And then they will introduce it slowly to the banking system. So it takes a time. So I think DeFi is so far ahead, and for TradFi to catch up, it will take a few years, but it usually catches up. Like you can see, Bitcoin ETFs are already adopted. I think HSBC has already adopted blockchain systems. So it will take time, but they will always catch up. Yeah. Hong Kong is much faster now. I think we already have a lot of systems in place, a lot of regulations. Hong Kong usually follows US and UK as well. There's just recently this month, it's a very recent news about the European Union has licensing system for stable coins. So for a very long time, stable coins were seen as illegal tender. But actually, there is a legal system now in European Union. It's going live. I think Circle USDC, that coin, has already got the license. They will be operating legally now in UK. And I think slowly Hong Kong will adopt that as well. And there are so many infrastructure items that's happening in the background. And it may be within 2 years, we will never see blockchain as some kind of hurdle, but it will be integrated seamlessly. And banking customers, they won't know what is underlying technology, but it will be automatically adopted.
With regards to RWA, why is the progression of adoption so slow, especially when it comes to real estate?
Oh, yeah.
It can be a much more smoother process if it was on blockchain technology to validate who the owner is.
Yeah.
Because, as an immigrant, when you come to this country, you're not privy to the language.
That's true.
There's a barrier when you're speaking to the estate agents.
Yeah. That's true.
There's no transparency as such. So, to address that, I think it would be the better way to function. So
That's true.
why
That's true.
is the adoption so slow?
I think the adoption I won't say the adoption is slow, but I would say the innovation is too fast. The rate at which blockchain evolution is happening is very fast. It happened only in one generation, right? The generation before this, they don't know anything. They don't want to associate themselves with blockchain even. And it's, as a government, from the government's point of view, they have to protect their consumers. They have to protect their existing business and economy as well. If they allow blockchain to take over everything, the current business system in Hong Kong will all crash. Like, for example, all the intermediaries, brokers, everyone will be affected. And you shouldn't allow, it will be like a floodgate opening and everything will be destroyed. So we don't want that to happen. You want to test it out slowly. You want to adopt it slowly. You want to give people time to adopt the technology as well. So the brokerages, they would adopt blockchain, and they would have to find like a balanced business model that works both for a consumer like us as well as for them. So maybe, for example, the government could establish like stamp duties on blockchain before allowing people to purchase land, for example. So that way, the existing business models also is supported while innovation is happening. But it takes time. Unfortunately, adoption takes time. That's the problem.
But if a startup had to go in that direction, would that find a lot of hurdles from a regulator standpoint of view, or from a consumer or
It's always the regulators. So because consumers, we already know that we want Bitcoin, we want Ethereum. It's a better financial system. It's a better transactional and a store of value as well. But I think it has to be taken in a slow, progressive way. And I think regulation takes time to catch up. It's mainly to address everyone, fair value, fair market. And they have to protect on both sides as well.
on the technical side, you're saying when there's bank-to-bank transfer in the future, US dollar is no more involved. Say I'm sending from HSBC my money to Nepal. It goes through. Anyways, like
Yeah.
I get the denomination in
Yeah.
Nepal that's equals to US dollar.
Exactly.
That's getting to US.
That's I understand that.
NPR.
So there's a lot of
in DeFi.
So there's a lot of transfer, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
This is a very cool point, actually, because right now we can't even transact with certain assets. For example, if Suresh has like a stock in New York Stock Exchange, and I want to transact, I want to exchange that for Hong Kong dollars, for example, it would take like for him, he has to send to his broker in the New York Stock Exchange, tell them to sell. That would have to execute, and they have to take a certain percentage, and then they would send it to the bank, and then it comes to me. It's even getting harder for me to explain, right? The process is so long. But with tokenization, you should be able to transfer and exchange to any asset. Like maybe it will be easier to send Hong Kong dollars directly to Nepal, and it will be just one transaction. You're paying for exact value of how much that currency is. So it's going to cut off a lot of intermediaries, and the transaction cost is going to be cut into a fractional amount. It's a huge amount that it saves a lot of time and money. Sorry? Okay, thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you all, and hope we all have a great day today. Thank you.